Hello Mixology Hackers, old and new, welcome back to another episode. And yes, first of all, thank you to all of you who keep supporting the channel and to all new members who join or subscribers who join the Mixology Hacks family. Thank you so much, it means a lot to me, and I'm really happy to see how the channel is growing, slowly, steady, but absolutely perfect speed, if you ask me. So, in the last episode, we talked about sugars and the type of sugars and everything. So, the video was requested by one of you. And of course, I tried to accommodate this request maybe a little bit later, but at least it's done. And same, it's the video today. Again, when I did the pineapple syrup, two different ways, I mentioned to don't throw your pineapple peels because you can make a pineapple tepache. And one of you requested a video about it because you wanted to understand a little bit more about the sweetness and the alcohol level and just a little bit more in general about this wonderful Mexican fizzy drink. Let's put it that way. So if you're ready, my lovely friends, my Mixology Hackers, let's get started and let's make a delicious pineapple tepache. So, first of all, what is tepache? Well, tepache is known as Tepache de Piña, which is basically a Mexican fermented drink. It's simple as that. So it's made from the peel of the pineapple. There you go, we don't need this label. It's made from the peel from the pineapple, so when you cut your pineapples to eat, to make syrup, to grill it, to whatever you do, cooking, or maybe put it on the pizza, like some people don't like it, but it's delicious. Most of the time you throw the peel in the bin. Now there's a few things you can do with it. One, it's a very nice tea, which is very healthy for you. But the other one, also really nice, is the pineapple tepache. So the pineapple tepache, how it's work? Again, it's fairly simple as any fermentation. There is a yeast living virtually everywhere. Okay, so this is what it's basically harnessed to make the delicious things. Now, for example, you use yeast on a flour, make sourdough. Yeast on a tea leaves make kombucha. And yeast on the pineapple peel makes tepache. So by feeding the yeast with the sugar, you basically create flavor and carbonation. So there you go. Very simple. Tepache is a wonderful drink, and in fact, I'm gonna pour myself a glass now before I continue. As you can see, I've made here some in advance just so I can have and enjoy a little bit. Ooh, lovely little carbonation there. Beautiful. Oh, smells fantastic. However, today we're gonna make a fresh, just so you know how to do it at home and stop throwing these peels, but instead using them for something much more delicious. Okay, cheers. Oh, that's just woohoo! Beautiful. Right, if you're ready, let me show you what you need for the tepache, because it's basically 3 ingredients and few equipment. First of all, of course, you're gonna need the pineapple. So this pineapple, we're gonna use the peels, and then I may just give the pineapple to my kids, or I may grill it and may make a grilled pineapple syrup for my cocktails. But we'll see about that. Then the other ingredients which you need, it's a light Demerara sugar. Now I keep mine in the pack here because I have a full jar there, but we're gonna have to measure certain amount. So that's why it's still in the back. However, when I say light Demerara sugar, it's fantastic to use it, but also I'm gonna do a little kind of a split of the sugar because I'll be using organic coconut sugar as well. Now, the question on my YouTube video of the pineapple syrup was about understanding the sugar level and ABV of the tepache. Usually tepache, it's around 2% ABV. It may go to 3, but it's not very high in alcohol level. Let's put it that way. If you do a quick fermentation, it's gonna be even less. So we're gonna do it the proper way, at least to have like this 2-3% of ABV. Regarding the sugar, you'll see how much I use. but I'm gonna split because I want to introduce a little bit of the coconut organic sugar just to bring this funkiness to the tepache and to make it a little bit more tropical, okay? Also, final ingredient, you need water. Now, that is very difficult for me, so I'm just gonna show you what I'm having here. It's 1.9 liter water, that's what we're using today. I'm not gonna put it here because I'm literally praying not to spill everywhere. So bear with me. Right, we move the sugar on the side and the pineapple for a moment. Two things you can do. First of all, before we start with the fermentation, because this video is going to be split in a few, like a little segment, so I'm going to come back to it in a few days when the fermentation is ready, and we're going to do the second fermentation. Now, why second fermentation, you may ask? It's very important. The first fermentation obviously is going to get this reaction going with the yeast in the sugar. The little fermentation and the bubbles gonna come. It's gonna release the flavor of the pineapple peel, and it will be absolutely delicious. With the first fermentation, if you want to keep it clean as just pineapple tepache, just leave it as it is, pineapple, sugar and water. However, you can also introduce a few extra flavors here. For example, today I'll be introducing a ginger and a cloves. This is gonna bring a little bit more kind of a warminess and a spice to the tepache, which is gonna change a little bit the flavor. However, it will be pineapple first forward, and then this a little spice and a kind of a clove flavor is gonna come on the back end. You can use cinnamon stick, you can use a chili if you want to put a little bit spice to the tepache, which is absolutely fine, because who knows, you may like a little bit spicy cocktails to use, or you just can drink it as it is with a little heat to it. Now, you can use fresh ginger, which is absolutely fine. The reason why I'm not using fresh ginger is because if I don't use the ginger for something else, it's just a waste of a lovely ingredient. Ginger, it's a fantastic thing. We will be using it on the channel to make some ginger cordial, but at the moment it's not planned for filming, so I don't want to just waste a fresh ginger. Even I can buy a small root, still I like to keep things and not just throwing in the bin. Sustainable serving, it's priority number one here. This is why I'm going to be using a ginger powder, which is equally good. If not, in some cases it's even better because it's more concentrated. The water it's extracted from the ginger to become powder, so it has more punch and more spiciness. And obviously cloves, just a normal cloves. You don't need grounded or anything. That's more than enough. However, feel free to experiment. But this needs to be done in the first fermentation, okay? And that's what it's important here to understand, that doing the fermentation of the tepache doesn't finish just to do what we're doing now. We are going to do a second fermentation, which is going to be just the liquid in a bottle, to give it a few extra days for this carbonation to kind of elevate and make a little bit more full of flavor, okay? So, you're gonna need a scale, just so you can measure the sugar, of course. You can measure in advance. You're gonna need a lovely big jug of water or bottles of water, whatever you decide. You're gonna need a knife to cut this pineapple, and of course a jar where you can put the peels, the water and the sugar to do the fermentation. Now this jar, as you can see, it's with a lid, and I will remove it and I'll explain why after. So one thing at a time. First thing first, we are going to start with our pineapple. So let's remove the top leaves, we don't need them. You remember where I did the pineapple video, the pineapple syrup I've mentioned to you. You can keep some of these leaves on the top, the good one, wash them nicely, dry them out, put them in the zip bag and stick them in the freezer so you can use them as a garnish. Don't throw them straight away. It's a good thing to use when you do your cocktails for a guest or even for yourself. Treat yourself accordingly. Now, pineapple. Ideally, good ripe pineapple. You can do with a green, but you won't extract that much flavor. So this one, I bought it 2 days ago, left it outside just to ripe a little bit more. And of course, if you can find organic pineapple, it's the best, because some of this, you know, in the stores, it's kind of a treated to stay longer. What you can do with this is just to quickly rinse under cold water. Don't wash it or rub it or anything. You want the yeast to don't be destroyed. Just a quick rinse if you want to if you kind of have suspicious there is some pesticide inside. This one has been fine, 2 days ripening on the shelf. So what you're gonna do, you just cut the top and the bottom, of course. There you go. My gosh, the whole table is moving. Gotta sharpen my knife, definitely. And now we are ready to cut. So when you're cutting the pineapple, do not cut the peel straight to the fruit, okay? You need to leave at least half an inch from the actual flesh. This is gonna bring your flavor, a little bit of the pineapple juice inside in the tepache, so it's gonna make it really nice and flavory and absolutely wonderful to drink. So have like a half an inch, even if you leave a little bit more, it's not harm at all, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I tend to do, I just go straight down. Usually if I clean pineapple, I'll go and follow the peel, but in this case, that's what we need. We need some of the flesh to stay inside. So I'm just gonna cut, I'm gonna make the pineapple literally like a little square brick. I'm just gonna take the peels, which I need. There you go. And the last one. Okay, wonderful. And as always, I don't have where to put the pineapple. But hey, oops, sorry. I'm always prepared. Saying, you know, just saying. The fun of making stuff at home, getting messy, getting dirty, your wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, come inside and it's just like, not again, and walk off. Because sometimes in my kitchen, it's like, literally it's like a laboratory, okay? What you see here is very nice and organized, but sometimes things go really crazy. However, everybody enjoy after, whatever I do. So, let's move this on the side. It will be easier this way, so kind of keeping it clean. Now, we need to measure the sugar. So, 1 pineapple, it's around 200 grams of sugar, okay? Now, as I say, use light Demerara sugar. It's absolutely fine. I'm gonna use 200 grams, but I will use from this 150 and I will add 50 grams of the organic coconut sugar, just to bring this kind of like a funk to the mix. So let's go. Let's get them to 150. Let's be precise. If I show you stuff and I do tutorials, I'm not gonna cut any corners. We'll follow exactly what it says on the tin, okay? Right? Now, coconut sugar, organic coconut sugar. It's a little bit darker, which is gonna bring a lovely color to the tepache. So the one which I'm drinking at the moment, that's just the classic one with light Demerara sugar, and that's it. Beautiful. Right. It's thick a little bit the coconut sugar because I don't use it fairly often. But we're gonna go a spoon by spoon to put 50 grams inside. Right. So again, if you missed the episode about sugars, don't forget you can check was the last episode. It's quite good information if you're especially new to mixology or making ingredients at home. It's nice to have a little understanding of the sugars and know which one is better for what, how to use them, and basically a general knowledge. So nothing wrong to stay educated. There you go. 50 grams of the coconut sugar. I'll put it away. And first thing first, we're gonna get our jar, add the sugar inside. And we have to add some of the water, just some of it, not all of it. There we go, I spill a little bit, not as much I expected, so whew, that's good. But this mat is fantastic because it's literally suck everything straight away. I'll leave you a link in the description if you want. It's a basically kitchen mat, but it's worked fantastically well when you're preparing stuff because it's literally suck a lot of water. It's like a mini sponge. So what you need to do here, you need to give it a good stir because you want this sugar to dissolve as much possible before you put your pineapple inside, okay? So I'm gonna stir for a little bit, I'll be back when it's dissolved. Okay, it's nearly dissolved. There is a little bit of sugar, but because we're gonna ferment for around 3 days, the sugar is gonna dissolve, and obviously you can come back to it and just do a little turnaround just to help this sugar dissolve. Now, as I say, optional, I will put a teaspoon of a ground ginger inside. And of course the 3 cloves, they're gonna extract a little bit of the flavor. It's absolutely fine. Now you may ask, why don't you just warm up the water and kind of dissolve the sugar? Yes, you could do, but you gotta be very careful. If you do that, if you put warm water, make sure you dissolve the sugar and leave it on the side just to cool down to a room temperature, so it's not really boiling. I know the heat helps the yeast to ferment faster, but you don't want to really give it this kick, so you want to be at room temperature. So if you don't want to stir the cold sugar and dissolve it, it's absolutely fine. You can use a little bit of warm water, not boiling, but warm. Now, make sure whatever jar you have, these things is gonna fit inside. So in my case, my tepache, I used to do it in a different jar, but it's too small because I do a little one, and I wanted to show you how to do a bigger kind of a volume. So we're gonna cut them in squares and we're gonna put them inside in the jar. Very important, when you add the rest of the water, you need to have some kind of a weight on top of the peel. You want it to be submerged in the sugar so it can start fermenting, and also it's gonna avoid any mold. Yeah, you don't want the peel to start getting mold. Simple as that. Because it's an open fermentation, you need to be careful. Okay. So to do that, you can use any, like if you have weights for jars at home. I don't have them. I tend to use a glass. Just gonna put that glass and submerge everything inside. I'm gonna press it down. Okay. Let me just move that peel because it's gone a little bit funky on me. I need it to be inside. Right. Now I'm gonna add the rest of the water. I think that glass may be too big, to be honest, so I'm gonna be changing it, definitely. Because this is gonna push the water too far. I'm just gonna put something on the top little to keep it down. Okay, I said 1.9 liters, but this jar again, it's not that big enough, so 1.8, 1.7 liters, it'll be absolutely fine. I'm gonna put one of these small, there we go. The small glass pot, you can just put it inside and you're done. So, last thing last. In some cases, like we did with the lacto-fermented strawberry and honey, we close the jar proper with lid, and of course, that's how it's supposed to be done. But with the tepache, we need the yeast to start breathing straight away. So to do this, we're gonna cover it just with a cheesecloth or like a milk bag or any cloth which is enough breathable but also enough thin to stop any insects going inside to your tepache. So let me just get the cheesecloth. Okay, so cheesecloth you can use, or in some cases, look, that it's like a shopping bag for a veg when you go in the supermarket. It's a nice thin, like a mesh, so it's absolutely fine. You can just cover it with that. I will not do it because obviously this is being used for shopping, so I don't want any kind of things to go inside in the tepache. Just a nice cheesecloth, for example. This one is perfect. It's just enough for me. Let's put a little elastic band which I stole from my daughter. Do not tell her. That's it. There you go. This, my lovely Mixology Hackers, it's ready to go on the shelf, somewhere placed dark, warm. So it needs to be at least 24 degrees, okay? This in Fahrenheit, I'm not sure how much it is, but yeah, you can make the math. However, if it's really warm where you are, it could ferment quicker than 3 days. Because I'm in UK, my house it's around 21, 22, so it's gonna take at least 3 days. But yeah, between 24 to 72 hours. Okay, so I'll leave this and I'll see you when 3 days pass to show you the fermentation, and we move to the second fermentation and bottling. I'll see you soon. And we're back, my lovely friends. It's been 4 days, so now my house it's usually staying between 19 and 21. The good temperature for the Tepache it's around 24, even sometimes to 26 degrees. So that's why I give it an extra day, just so we can have the fermentation ready before we move to the second fermentation. So today we're gonna transfer everything in the bottles, and we're gonna be doing another second fermentations for around 3 days. Bear in mind, more you leave the second fermentation, more the yeast is gonna eat the sugar, so the Tepache is gonna go less sweeter. So it's entirely up to you how you prefer it. You can test it and then decide what is the best level of sweetness for you, and then you can stop the fermentation by simply putting the bottles in the fridge, which is gonna knock off the yeast eating the sugar, and it's gonna stop the fermentation, and it will be ready for you to consume. But let's see what we have here in this beautiful jar. As you can see, it's covered, and we already have the bubbles on the top. Just to show you, I will move my second camera from the top view just to give you a quick view inside in the big jar. So forgive me if I'm a little bit shaky because I'm holding the camera with my hands. So this is the jar, we've covered it nicely, but now I'm just gonna open the top just to show you what's happening inside. So this is what you're gonna get, a little fermentation on the top, the lovely bubbles from the fermented when the yeast eating the sugar and it started the first fermentation. As you can see, let me just focus, it's a wonderful kind of a lovely ring on the top with bubbles. It's still bubbling nicely. Lovely, absolutely fantastic. I mean, it may not look pretty, okay, but you know that your fermentation is ready and we are good to go. So let's bottle for second fermentation. So it's fairly simple bottling for second fermentation. Now, if you can get some bottles with, you know, the top, which is like a flipping top, it's really good for second fermentation, because bear in mind, the second fermentation obviously is going to release more gas, and it could actually explode the bottle if you're not monitoring it properly. If you get a screw top, make sure you check it maybe twice a day if you need to release a little bit of the gas, and close the screw top as well. I'm going to be bottling in these 2 big bottles, and I'm going to separate quite evenly. This is going to give me enough space on the top, so I don't need to worry too much about the gas, and it's going to give me more time and kind of a more peace in mind to release the gas, just because obviously I'm working long shifts, you know, bar, hospitality, it's not like a 9-to-5 job, you never know, sometimes could be really long. So this is giving me like a peace of mind. If I release the gas and I go for a 10-hour shift and maybe it's more longer, I still have enough time, you know, to come back home and release the gas again. So it's just a kind of a safety. If you're home, it's a different story, but let's take it out. First, I'm gonna get this little top here, and we need to take out obviously the peels. Now in some cases, in most of the cases, they will still have some yeast left on the pineapple peel. So don't discard them yet. If you want, you can do directly another fermentation, prepare another Tepache from the same peel. It may be a slightly less kind of a tense and flavored, but you still can do a second ferment. You still can do another fermentation with these peels, and maybe as we put here ginger powder and a clove, you may decide to try another one with a different flavor. So don't just throw them yet. If you want, just try another, okay? If not, obviously you can discard them, and when you get to your next pineapple, just do another tepache. Now this is the last one. Let's see if I can take it because it's swimming everywhere. There you go. Okay, this is ready. What I'll suggest is get a nice funnel, put on top of your bottle, and because you're gonna have some of the kind of a dry leaves outside of the peel and anything, get a small sieve, just put it inside in the funnel, just to remove few of the bits inside. However, on the bottom here, I still have a little bit like a residue of the sugar. It's not like unmelted, but it's just the actual pineapple fruit is fell down. So I'm gonna mix it first. And I will transfer, hopefully evenly between the two bottles. It doesn't need to be exactly the same amount in the two bottles. It's just basically to give you a lovely space for you. There you go. So I'm gonna go a little bit in this one, and then I'm gonna go a little bit in this one. And basically, Mixology Hackers, the second fermentation, it will take you, as I mentioned, maybe 2 to 3 more days. It's entirely up to you how sweet you want to be your tepache. Right, we're fairly halfway here. Let's put a little bit more in this bottle, and we're gonna go back to the other. Lovely. As you can see, I have quite enough space on the top, which is gonna give me a little peace of mind when it's come to the building up of the gas in the second fermentation. But I have quite a good amount of tepache here to enjoy. So we're nearly done almost 2 liters because, as you remember, the actual peel we left around inch of the actual fruit, so this is also released some of the juice inside. So here we go. This is a very even, very even pudding. Fabulous. We're all done with that. Now all you need to do is just close your bottles nice and tight and just leave it on a dry space somewhere when it's not extremely warm, but warm enough to keep going with the fermentation. And of course, don't forget to not put these bottles on any direct light or anything. Just leave it in a dark, cool, like a warm place. And I'll see you in about 3 days again with the ready tepache. But in the meantime, I may pop in the middle just to show you when we're releasing the gas what it's happening. Just so you have an idea. And yeah, nearly ready with our Tepache de Piña. Hello my lovely friends, and welcome to the last part of the video of tepache. And yes, we are ready. So, kind of, let's put it that way. It's been a day and a half since I put the first fermentation to the bottles. And let's just open a little bit one. Very little kind of a sus from the inside air, but as you can see, it starts bubbling because obviously it's getting some air inside, and it will introduce a little bit air to the mixture, so the yeast is gonna start eating sugar again. Now, there's a trial and error with the tepache. It may not get bubbly from the first fermentation. This could be because your pineapple is not ripe enough, so it's not enough yeast on the core to start eating the sugar. So try again and see how it goes. It needs to be a ripe pineapple. Now the second fermentation, if it's not fizzy enough, like in this case, I could do with a little bit more fizziness. The way I can do this, it's add extra sugar so I can give something to the yeast to eat. So yeast like sugar, yeah? So the second bottle I've just opened earlier, but I'll leave a little bit open just to see. It's gonna start bubbling, definitely. Yeah. As I mentioned before, the Tepache, it's around 2 ABV. Like a volume, alcohol volume, depends how long you do the second fermentation. I think in this case here, I'm gonna be stopping the fermentation, so I'll leave it for another day or two, and then I'll put it in the fridge and start consuming. I don't like it too fizzy, but that's my personal preference. If you like it more fizzy and if you want more bubbly, just put some more sugar. I don't know the shelf life because never left that long to figure it out if it's you know, how long it's gonna stay. So safely to say, have a check at it, but maybe consume it up to a week and that's it. So there you go. Before I leave, one last thing, because I said you can make a different flavor of your Tepache. Like in the first fermentation we did ginger here and cloves. In the second you can virtually put any juice or puree to the Tepache and make a different flavor. So you can go with mango, with papaya, with passion fruit, with whatever you decide. You can add some juice and you can flavor it. That's entirely up to you. I'll leave it to you to experiment and create different things. But yeah, this is it. If you have any questions, as always, don't forget to drop them down in the comments. I'll leave some links to obviously all the stuff I use in regular basis to like equipment and jars and everything down in the links. Because if you decide to buy something, this is kind of a guide. You don't need to use these links, they're affiliates, but obviously if you use them, thank you, because they help just a little bit, you know, for supporting the channel, buying the products and things like that. So it's absolutely entirely up to you. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But for now, I'll leave you and I'll see you with another video very soon. And this one could be with a little surprise. But until then, stay safe and go make some Tepache.